Hey YouTubers, we need to talk about the show's biggest problem, and it has nothing to do with White Walkers or the Night King. Just careful for spoilers for everything that's happened so far. There's a new round of the HBO Now giveaway. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber, leave a comment on this video. So everybody knows about the Night King, the White Walkers, the Army of the Dead. The actor that plays Davos is even quoted as saying that they're 100,000 strong, meaning that even if everyone put aside their differences in the South, they still wouldn't match their numbers. The reason why that's not a big problem is because the trailer has already spelled out what the plan is. Jon Snow narrates a lot about how they need to put their differences aside. Davos threatens them all with the idea of a skeleton sitting on the Iron Throne. Everybody's going to be dead. It won't matter. So the biggest problem with Season 7 isn't the Army of the Dead. It's actually people that throw wrenches into the plan to fight the Army of the Dead, which it sounds like Sansa is going to do, because they did interviews with all the actors, and there's a really interesting one with Kit Harington and one with Littlefinger that sort of spell out how Sansa is going to be a problem with Jon Snow. Kit Harington says, and I quote, "There's a definite tension between them right from the first scene. There are the same problems. She questions his decisions and command. He doesn't listen to her, but as far as where that goes or takes them or how dark it can get, we'll see. It gets past sibling squabbling, it gets into two people power struggling." So that already sounds really ominous, but I'll read the Littlefinger quote too, then we'll analyze what they're talking about. The actor that plays Littlefinger says, "I finished last season on a promising note by laying my cards on the table, at least to Sansa. I was sowing seeds of doubt about Jon Snow throughout my appearances in Season 6, and yeah, that will continue in Season 7. It's pretty obvious that my game is there. But at the same time, my character's becoming quite aware that Sansa's becoming as bright as me and just as wary of my manipulations of her. They're on to each other. They use each other. They enjoy each other. And they keep a lot from each other. There are all kinds of mixed things going on with Littlefinger and his relationship with Sansa, so watching her grow in stature is quite enjoyable." So that actually sounds pretty dangerous, because it sounds like she's much more complicit with Littlefinger than what we thought before. You've seen a lot of images of them on set. There's a picture of her giving him the side eye here, so he's weaving his plans while at the same time being aware that she's watching him, knowing that she's being manipulated. So there are a lot of narrative reasons why Sansa's one of the biggest problems of Season 7 up in the north, because Jon Snow, all he cares about is fighting the Army of the Dead and getting everybody to unite. But that can't happen when people within your own camp are backstabbing you. Because like Sansa said during Season 6 when they were marshaling the army to try and fight the Boltons, people will rally to the Stark name. The North remembers, but Jon Snow does not have the Stark name. I do.
I'm not sure she believes that Jon is capable of running Winterfell in the North. I think she thinks he doesn't have the intellect, the knowledge, the experience that she has. And I concur. But she knows that he has wonderful morals, and that kind of, those Stark morals that, inevitably he'll make the right decisions, or the good decision, but whether it's going to benefit anyone is another story.
So the other big reason why Sansa and her storyline are a big problem are because of the challenges of adapting the books to TV. You have to cut a lot of things out. You have to focus on characters that you might not spend as much time with in the books. Like Cersei got a big upgrade from book Cersei. Sansa has also had a giant upgrade from book Sansa in the amount of time the story focuses on her. When Kit Harington talks about them not communicating with each other, him not consulting her about decisions, he's not a bad commander, but he doesn't have as much experience of someone who fought in the War of the Five Kings or even Robert's Rebellion. Samwell Tarly's father is a good example of one of the best battle commanders in the realm. He fought for the crown during that period. So Kit Harington talks about the sibling rivalry lasting all season, going to very dark places. What kind of wrench could Sansa throw into that problem? Well, Littlefinger wants to support Sansa. They command the forces of the Vale. Littlefinger could always withhold support, but the North largely seemed like it supported Jon Snow. We don't care what his last name is. That was what that whole Little Bear speech was about. But based on all the quotes that the actors are giving, it sounds like maybe not everybody in the North was on board with that. The North is a big place. They love the Starks. Maybe there are some that are still pure to the Stark name and believe Jon Snow is a bastard. doesn't have as much right as Sansa to leave. So Sansa looks like she's learning the power of forming alliances, the power of politicking like Littlefinger. So there were a couple times during season 6 where she showed off how much knowledge she had of the broader things that were happening in Westeros that Jon Snow didn't know about at all. She knew about what the Blackfish was doing because of her proximity to Ramsay. She understood Ramsay better than Jon Snow did. And you can call that willful ignorance in service of plot, but I actually think it's a good way of showing how much Jon Snow is like Ned Stark, in that they're very certain of their beliefs, but they don't always have all the information, and they don't always mistrust people the way they should. Like when Littlefinger told Ned Stark, the first thing you should do is trust no one, don't trust me. Jon Snow seems like he's making some of the same mistakes as Ned Stark. Very pure intentions, but not the political instincts of someone like Littlefinger, who's operating on a much higher level. Playing the game, all in your mind, all over the place all at once. It sounds like he's speaking to Sansa when he's saying that, because he wants to seduce her to the dark side, while at the same time she's trying to learn everything she can without being completely swallowed by Littlefinger's narrative. And in pursuit of that, will clash with Jon Snow continually because she'll start learning things that he won't know, he won't listen to her, and it'll sow the seeds of discord that will prevent everyone from coming together the way they need to fight the army of the dead. But I think based on the timeline, they'll get there before season 8. But there you see some of the more practical problems of adapting the books to the TV show, wherein you have to drum up this drama in the North where it really doesn't need to exist. Jon Snow already defeated the Boltons, the North is united, they're dealing with the rogue defeated houses like the Karstarks and the Umbers, but you still have someone like Sansa who says that she doesn't necessarily care about the Iron Throne, but she wants to be in charge, she wants credit. So you spend all this time dealing with that when really their focus should be on what's going on in the south with Daenerys and Cersei. Daenerys has this giant fleet, you'd think they'd be talking about that. It'll probably be addressed in the first couple of episodes, depending on how quickly ravens are dispatched to Winterfell. Further complicating matters, you have Bran Stark, who has all this information about Jon Snow's relevance, which is only going to fan Sansa and Littlefinger's flames, because even though technically he would still be a bastard unless Lyanna Stark and Rhaegar were married, it would make him a much more legitimate heir, meaning that most people in the North would completely forget about Sansa. They'd still love her as a Stark, but if you were on the fence about this amazing bastard that won this huge battle, got rid of the Boltons, and found out that he came from the purest of blood, you would back him in a second, throwing up all kinds of speculation about how Littlefinger and Sansa would react to that. So let me know in the comments. Bran reveals the truth of Jon Snow's origin to everyone. If he does, how do you think Sansa and Littlefinger react to that? Because Littlefinger is only focused on the Iron Throne. That's the game he's playing. If Jon Snow is a legitimate heir and he aligns with Daenerys, that's the end for him. So there you see where the big problem lies, the big wrench in the plan, them all coming together. If they come together, Littlefinger is done for. So the only hope is in Sansa realizing how bad Littlefinger is for their grand plan and putting aside her differences with Jon Snow. So we'll see how long they stretch that out, but I can already sense that that's going to be one of the biggest complaints about Season 7, is why didn't she tell him this? Like, that was literally one of the questions they asked at Comic-Con. Why didn't you tell Jon Snow about the Knights of the Vale?
Sansa didn't tell Jon because she wanted all the credit, and it was a more dramatic moment when she showed up, and it makes for really good television.
So what's going to happen next is there'll be more Game of Thrones this weekend. I am expecting another trailer before the season drops. There'll be a lot of extra special stuff happening the week before the season starts. Leave all your requests for bonus videos in the comments. Congratulations to Brandon Stewart, you're the latest giveaway winner. You can click here to learn all about Azor Ahai, and you can click here to learn all about Euron Greyjoy confirming a big theory about Season 7. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.